Good day, ladies and gentle-ladies. M.A.D scientist here, Micro Customs. So today the operation is to strip the cone from the spider and take out the damaged former, because as you can see, this guy did not do too well. Didn't bother cleaning this off because there's really no need for that. So what we're going to use today is our heat lighter, and we're going to take off the pliers and cutters. uh, thing with this is becomes a little bit tricky because there's a certain level of finesse you gotta use, a lot of patience, and a whole bunch of calculated twists and turns. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so initially I was gonna do this whole process on my live, but turns out when you're doing the live, they don't allow you to have any lighters or blow torches on there. It is considered part of smoking, and it goes against the violations of live. So when you do use one of these things on there, the live gets flagged, and then a lot of the people that actually sit and watch cannot watch because the live goes restricted. And I've noticed that a lot of the young guys are sitting and watching. I don't know what the age group is, but I've noticed that my viewership goes down drastically once my live gets restricted. So I don't know if it's only restricting the younger audience or if it's restricting everybody. So yeah, I think initially my channel was, I won't say advertised, but it came across as for everybody, and I think that generally is the problem, because it came across as a channel for everyone to view, and now that I'm using other things, that's where the issue came. Okay, so initially I didn't want to take the wire off. I just felt like I'll just pull everything off one time, but that's gonna take some time. So the easier way would be to get this wire off, and then it'll just be the piece of former, so to rip it loose is a lot easier than to just struggle with this wire that we have here that's on here. No particular reason why I didn't want to pull it off, just at the time I didn't feel the need to, seeing as the whole foam was going to come off. And it's like, why do the extra work for no reason? You're not saving anything. If I was going to save the former, then yeah, take the wire off, but so I figured just leave the wire on there, no need to remove it. But I remember now, while stripping it, as to why we take the wire off, because then we've only got the former to open up, and then that basically makes it so much easier. I guess I should find the top one. Okay, let's get them off. This one is aluminium wire. We are gonna be replacing it with copper because I don't have aluminium wire. the suppliers that do sell the aluminium wire don't want to sell it in smaller quantities, so it kind of makes it hard to get aluminium. And this is flat aluminium wire, which is actually even way more expensive than the round one when we're buying it from here, from my local supplier. So the copper is not only cheaper, but it's cheaper in the sense that I can get the quantity that I need for when I buy it. They don't put a restriction on, well, there's a restriction, but I can't walk into these suppliers and say, listen here man, I want 5 kilo flat wind aluminium. Then they laugh at me and say, that's good, I want a Ferrari. Don't see me getting a Ferrari. And then again, I think maybe if you go as a registered business, maybe then, but then also then you'll need to buy a certain amount, and they don't see, in order for me to buy the smaller wire, I mean a smaller quantity, which is like a 5 kilo, they come in 10 kilo drums, and everybody that buys this apparently buys it in 10 kilo drums. Nobody buys less than that, so it just makes it harder for me. Now that that's done, we'll see how much more easier that becomes to open, because now, why does it seem that there's still wire there? There is still wire there. Why did it look like the wire was done? Okay, still one layer. There we go. There we go. Now it'll be easier. I still had one piece. Let's turn that down to here. Now, this could have been done with the wires still connected, but it makes it a little bit harder to do. And then, seeing as we are stripping everything off, there's really no need to keep it on there. Makes no sense. Okay, that's gonna need some softening. Okay. That could have been disastrous. Alright, so foam is off. So now we need to remove the top piece here, because if we just pull from here the spiral loose, what happens is the tensor wire is actually bonded in here. So if we can get the cone off first, and then we'll deal with the spiral last. So we'll first do the cone, and then we'll go to the spiral. because this glue is a CCA glue, it requires a lot of heat, but constant heat and a very high heat as well. It breaks off pretty easily once you've added heat to it. It comes off quite easily, but it's not as easy once it's cold, and it goes cold very fast. And it's cold. So let's see which way. This way. You can see that's the small piece that I just did now. That piece there. So it takes a while. It's a little bit on the annoying part because you got to keep on going with the heat. Because I've done this many times before, it looks a little bit easier. You need to have the right tools as well, I think. It's a big, and it's kind of very cold outside today, so it doesn't make it any easier. Okay, so here we are in the tensile wire section of it. I'll show you now. Alright, so that's the tensile part of it. Let's do that. This is the tensile part of it. So what we need to do is we want to get this tensile and this one here and both on the other side. We want to get them loose from the cone in that way, so that when we open up on the spiders on the side here, the cone will just pop off and won't damage the cone in any way, because if you just pull the spider from the bottom, it'll damage the cone on the top, because this is being glued into the groove that the cones come with. So it is like I said, it's a precision based procedure. You need to know just how much tender loving care and how much brute force to use when opening this thing up. I would suggest, if you want to do it after you've broken your own speaker, and do your own speaker. Don't learn on somebody else's, because you're definitely going to break it, and sometimes it's not the wisest thing to do, because it might just be a speaker that cost a hell of a lot of money, and then you have to replace all of that, and that becomes a big issue. Ah, goodness me. Okay, so welcome back. I ended up ending the bloody video instead of turning the volume up. I thought I need to turn the volume up. I don't know why, but here we are. Okay, so I still haven't learned how to use the editing software and things. Because of my mess up right now, I'm gonna have to learn how to edit so that I can add this piece to the first piece I recorded. It's gonna be interesting. So yeah, let's continue. I also gotta learn to do the editing, so that when I'm doing this, I can get much more work done than just this little bit, because I can then time lapse all of this nitty-gritty work that I'm doing here. So if you guys know of any good editing software I can use or I can learn on, drop a like in the comments there, let me know. Okay, over there. Okay, the smell of this glue is really hectic, which is also why it has to be done on the outside. This glue smells so bad. Alright, we are at the other tinsel leads. Okay. And the wind is blowing this little stuff right into my nose, man. Last piece. Sure we can get him out. Nah. He's one of those that wanna sit, not leaving our own go. Okay. Alright. So now this is what you're left with. Now I know what you're thinking. That looks the same. What did you do? Well, as you can see, it's not the same. That's what I was peeling off this whole time. So now we can go to the inside and then peel off the cone. Before we do that though, let's take off all of these excess wires because they're gonna get stuck on the cone and then it'll create a problem. I can see there. Okay, let's do it from the top. Alright. Okay, that piece came out there. Okay, that piece came out there. Now we're going for the last piece. Two pieces basically. This is where the tensile wire is. And just stroke that. Okay, this one needs a little bit of persuading over here. Slightly tied up. Soften up glue on the side here. That guy's goes there. Alright, so we loosen up these ones here. And there we have it. Cone is off. Very minimal damage. Actually no damage at all. And a little bit of chopping here and there because of the glue that was stuck on there. But we don't have any damages there. And we've got the spider. Well, this piece here keeps popping off. We'll have to re-glue it back again. But we're gonna have to put the tensile wire in and then put this guy over where it's supposed to be, line up the holes, and then re-glue him back, because these tensils has a groove that they go into, and then everything gets locked up inside. Okay, okie dokie, like so. Alright, but now we've got all of this dirt here that we need to clean off, because if we don't, when we put everything back together again, that's gonna be a bit of a problem. So we don't need to clean off all the excess dirt and all of these paper and stuff that's on it needs to come off, because we need to have it bare as possible with no old glue on there, so that the new glue can bond to it and actually sit on it. Alright. All the old excess glue. Alright, there we go. All the old excess glue is go on that side. Now we'll take the balance on this side. Because remember, this with the spider, you see these grooves here, how it sits in there. There's a groove here where this sits in. So as you mounting the spider over the coil over the former, that groove that sits there acts as a funnel. So when you put the glue in, the glue basically seeps down into that valley, and as you put the glue around, it basically creates that baseline from the bottom all the way up to the top, so that it basically glues the spider to the former. And when you take the cone and push the cone over that, that little bit of that groove that basically sits slightly inside that as well, so that the glue mounts quite well. But even if it doesn't and there's a flat surface, it's still fine, because once it goes over, you put the glue over the top and the former still sticks out a bit, enough for you to be able to join the cone to the former, and the spider gets connected to the former separately. Sometimes the spider, depending on the spider and the lineage on the spider, you can get the spider where that dip is deep enough for the cone to fit in, others not so much. But again, it depends on the speaker, not necessarily the brand, but just the speaker, because a lot of these brands are, the speakers are very similar in nature, and even though they look the same and everything, remember, the strength of the speaker on the spiders may not be the same. Some of the rolls, linear rolls, are not as high. The formers may not be the same as well. The coils, height, gauge wire is not the same. And the most important of all, the magnet strength won't be the same, or could be the same, but these are all things that you need to take into consideration when you look at stuff and say, ah, it's the same. May be the same, you may be able to use the part from here and there, but it won't be the same, because all of the parts need to work together to give you what you're looking for, to work in harmony. Right, so now that that is split, cool beans. Okay, so I'm thinking I need to take the bottom spider off, so that at least him I can fit over and get him glued, and then take the top one and glue the top one over that. But that I think I shall do on my live. So if you're just following me on my YouTube channel, don't forget you can follow me on Farid Musa on my TikTok, which is where I do all of my lives. As customer speakers come in, I do all of my work on the live. So if you perhaps bring a speaker in for repairs, you'll see the speaker, the entire process of opening up the speaker, what the damage looks like inside, where it's damaged, and then I'll give you some insight as to what could be the causes of the damages, and maybe it's within your power to rectify those causes so that it doesn't happen again. Because as much as we like to play bass, it does become costly to keep fixing and keep fixing. So wherever I can, I will advise as to how not to do it, how not to visit me again with the same speaker. Right, I think that's that over there. The coil we'll be doing tonight as well on the live. So yeah, I think that's it. That should be done. It's done. Took off all the excess glue over the top. That's basically going to be a problem for me to work with, but everything's decent enough for me to work with now. We'll get the coil bay built up, wound it on here, and we should be ready to assemble in no time. So that's it. Thanks for joining. Don't forget, you can check my TikTok channel out, Farid Musa. That's basically where I do all of my lives. I'm still busy growing my platform to try and get more people involved, until I reach on YouTube, 50 subscribers, then I can do the lives as well on the YouTube. But until then, Fleet, my story is 8.